Welcome back to Book Summaries channel. Have you ever wondered who that voice inside your head is? The one that never stops talking, judging, and worrying? Today, we are exploring The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. This book is a profound guide to spiritual liberation, teaching us how to release the ego and find true, lasting inner peace. In the opening chapter, Singer introduces us to the most intimate relationship we have, the one with our internal narrator. He points out that most of us are constantly listening to a voice in our heads that never shuts up. This voice comments on everything we see, judges our actions, and worries about the future. Singer challenges the reader to realize that you are not that voice. You are the one who hears it. By simply observing the talkative mind, you create a distance between your true self and your thoughts. This realization is the first step towards spiritual freedom. If you were that voice, you wouldn't be able to hear it. Therefore, you are the conscious subject, and the voice is merely an object of your awareness. Recognizing this allows you to stop being a victim of your own internal chatter. Once you stop identifying with every thought, the voice loses its power over your emotions and your life. Singer compares the voice in our head to an inner roommate who is often neurotic, judgmental, and rarely satisfied. If you had a physical roommate who spoke to you the way your internal voice does, you would have kicked them out long ago. Yet, we allow this mental roommate to dictate how we feel and what we do. This chapter encourages us to take an objective look at this roommate's personality. You start to see that the voice is often just trying to make the world feel safe and predictable. It creates a mental model of how things should be and gets upset when reality doesn't match. By observing this roommate, you realize that most of its advice is based on fear and past conditioning. You don't have to follow its suggestions or believe its insults. Separating your identity from this persona is vital for inner peace. You learn to live with the roommate without letting it run your life. This chapter dives deep into the ultimate question of identity. Singer asks the reader to strip away all external labels like your name, career, and physical appearance. If all those things changed, you would still be you, the one experiencing the change. He explains that your true essence is the self, which is pure consciousness or the witness. We often get lost in our thoughts, emotions, and sensory experiences, forgetting that we are the observer of these things. Imagine watching a movie. You are so immersed that you forget you are in a theater. Spiritual awakening is the process of remembering that you are the one sitting in the seat, not the characters on the screen. This shift in perspective changes everything because the witness is inherently peaceful and unaffected by the drama of life. You are the silent space in which all experiences occur. Resting in this awareness is the key to an untethered soul. Building on the previous chapter, Singer uses the concept of lucid dreaming to explain the state of the awakened self. In a lucid dream, you are aware that you are dreaming while the dream is happening, which gives you power over the experience. Similarly, the lucid self is aware of the waking world while remaining centered in the witness state. Most people are dreaming through their daily lives, completely lost in their thoughts and reactions. When you become lucid, you realize that the world around you is constantly changing, but your center of awareness remains constant. You can observe your anger or sadness without being consumed by them. This awareness creates a buffer between the event and your reaction. You no longer need the world to be a certain way to feel okay. You remain the conscious observer regardless of whether life is good or bad. This level of detachment leads to a life of incredible freedom and clarity. Singer discusses the concept of samskara or blocked energy. He explains that we have an infinite source of energy within us, often called chi, shakti, or spirit. When we are open and excited, this energy flows through us effortlessly. However, when we resist an experience or suppress an emotion, we create a block in our heart center. These blocks are like physical scars on our energy field that get triggered by future events. Most of us spend our lives trying to avoid things that touch our sore spots. Singer teaches that the key to staying high energy is to keep your heart open at all costs. Even when it hurts, you must allow the energy to move through you rather than pushing it down. Closing your heart is a defensive mechanism that ultimately drains your life force. Staying open allows the infinite energy of the universe to sustain you. Life becomes a beautiful flow of energy rather than a struggle to protect yourself. The heart is described as an instrument that opens and closes based on our preferences. When the heart is open, we feel love, joy, and connection. When it closes, we feel lonely and fearful. Singer argues that we have a choice in this matter. Most people wait for something outside to happen before they allow their heart to open. The secret to a spiritual life is to stay open even when things go wrong. Closing your heart doesn't protect you. It only locks the pain inside. By consciously choosing to keep the heart open, you allow the old samskaras to be released. This process can be uncomfortable, as it requires you to feel the old pain as it leaves. However, the result is a heart that remains perpetually open to the beauty of existence. You stop being a victim of your moods and start living in a state of unconditional love. This is the path to emotional and spiritual mastery. This chapter provides practical advice on how to stop the habit of closing your heart. Singer suggests that we must catch the moment the heart starts to tighten and consciously choose to relax. Life will constantly present challenges that trigger your old patterns of resistance. The practice is to relax and release instead of pushing back. When you feel a pang of jealousy, anger, or fear, don't focus on the person or event that caused it. Instead, focus on the sensation in your chest and consciously breathe through it. If you can let go in the moment of discomfort, the energy clears. If you resist, you create a new block that will plague you later. This is a subtle but powerful discipline that requires constant vigilance. Transcending the urge to close means you are no longer at the mercy of your triggers. You become a master of your internal state by simply refusing to shut down. This is how you reclaim your power from the outside world. Singer emphasizes the urgency of letting go of your past baggage and egoic attachments. He uses the analogy of a person hanging onto a branch over a cliff. The more you try to hold on to your stuff, the more exhausted and stressed you become. Letting go is not something you do once. It is a way of life. You must be willing to let go of your self-image, your grievances, and your need to be right. If you don't let go, the weight of your past will eventually pull you down into suffering. The world is a place of constant change, and trying to keep things fixed is a battle you cannot win. Every moment is an opportunity to release something that is no longer serving your growth. When you truly let go, you fall into the arms of the universe, which is a state of deep trust. The fall into the unknown is actually the ascent into freedom. Peace is the natural result of having nothing left to protect. Imagine you have a thorn in your arm that touches a nerve every time something brushes against it. You have two choices: build a complex system to protect the thorn so it never gets touched, or pull the thorn out. Singer argues that our egoic triggers are exactly like this thorn. Most of us spend our lives protecting our thorns by avoiding certain people, places, or topics. This limits our lives and makes us slaves to our sensitivities. The spiritual path is about having the courage to pull the thorn out. This means facing the underlying fear or pain that makes us reactive. Pulling the thorn hurts temporarily, but it leads to permanent healing. Protecting the thorn leads to a lifetime of anxiety and restriction. Once the thorn is gone, you are free to live fully without fear of being brushed by life. True health is being able to experience life without any internal barriers. Singer discusses how we let the ego steal our freedom by creating a mental house to live in. We build these walls of opinions and beliefs to feel secure, but we end up becoming prisoners of our own architecture. We spend all our energy defending our mental house and judging those who live in different houses. To be truly free, you must step outside these mental walls. Freedom is found in the vastness beyond your personal preferences. The ego wants to control the world so it can feel safe, but true safety comes from realizing you don't need to control anything. When you stop defending your house, you find that the whole universe is your home. You are no longer restricted by what you like or dislike. You are free to experience reality as it is, without filtering it through the ego's demands. This is the ultimate liberation from the self-imposed limits of the mind. This chapter addresses the reality that the spiritual path involves facing pain. Singer explains that pain is not a mistake. It is a signal that you have reached your limit. Most people run away from pain, but in doing so, they run away from their growth. Pain is the price we pay for the freedom to move beyond our current boundaries. If you can sit with your pain without trying to change it or escape it, it will eventually pass. This process of burning off old energy is what leads to enlightenment. By embracing the discomfort of your heart opening, you are purifying your consciousness. You realize that you are strong enough to handle any emotion that arises. Avoiding pain keeps you small. Facing pain makes you vast. Freedom isn't the absence of pain. It's the ability to let pain pass through you without leaving a trace. This is the warrior's path to inner peace. Singer explores the nature of resistance and how it blocks our spiritual progress. Resistance is the ego's way of saying, "I don't like this." It is the friction between reality and our mental preferences. Every time you resist life, you create suffering for yourself. Transcending resistance means adopting a state of non-resistance or surrender. This doesn't mean being passive. It means accepting the present moment as it is before taking action. When you stop fighting the reality of what is, you save immense amounts of energy. You become much more effective because you are acting from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. Non-resistance allows you to move with the flow of life, like a river. You find that the universe is actually supportive when you stop pushing against it. Peace is found when your will is aligned with the will of existence. This chapter describes the state of being that exists far beyond the ego and the personal self. Singer speaks of a state of consciousness where you are no longer tethered to the drama of your life. You exist as a point of pure awareness, watching the dance of creation. This is the goal of all spiritual traditions, to reach a place of permanent peace and joy. From this vantage point, even the most difficult life events are seen as beautiful expressions of energy. You realize that the universe has been evolving for billions of years, and you are a conscious part of that process. The small me disappears, and you are left with the infinite I am. This is not an intellectual concept, but an experiential reality. Once you have tasted this freedom, you can never go back to being a small, limited person. You are untethered, floating in the boundless sea of consciousness. Singer challenges our sense of solidity, the idea that our problems and our identity are fixed and heavy. In reality, everything is made of energy and is constantly in flux. We create solidity by clenching and resisting. When we relax, the weight of the world lifts. He explains that our mental problems only seem solid because we focus on them so intensely. If you zoom out and look at your life from the perspective of the entire cosmos, your problems disappear into insignificance. This zooming out helps dissolve the false solidity of the ego. You start to see your life as a brief, miraculous blink in the eye of eternity. This perspective makes it much easier to let go of grievances and fears. You realize there is nothing to hold on to, so you might as well enjoy the ride. The only thing that is truly solid is the awareness that observes it all. Singer makes a bold claim. You can choose to be happy unconditionally. Most people have conditions for happiness. I'll be happy if I get the job, if they love me back, or if the weather is nice. This makes happiness a rare and fragile thing. Singer suggests that you should make a vow to be happy no matter what happens. This doesn't mean you ignore problems, but you refuse to let them take away your inner joy. If you decide that your happiness is non-negotiable, you become invincible. You use every challenge as an opportunity to release more of your ego. Unconditional happiness is the ultimate spiritual practice because it requires you to stay open in every circumstance. It is the realization that being alive is enough reason to be joyful. When you stop asking the world to make you happy, you find that happiness was always there, waiting inside you. Non-resistance is the master key to the spiritual life. Singer explains that resistance is the only thing that creates suffering. If you accept everything, pain, joy, birth, death, you are free. This is the path of the greatest resistance for the ego, but the least resistance for the soul. He clarifies that non-resistance doesn't mean you don't try to change things. It means you don't emotionally struggle with the way things are right now. You act from a place of peace rather than a place of lack or anger. This chapter encourages us to see life as a teacher. Every person who annoys you and every situation that frustrates you is a gift designed to show you where you are still resistant. By practicing non-resistance, you turn your entire life into a spiritual practice. You become a light in the world because you are no longer reacting to the darkness. In this powerful chapter, Singer argues that death is our greatest teacher. Most people live in denial of death, which leads to a shallow and fearful life. However, if you keep death as your constant companion, you live with much more intensity and gratitude. Death reminds you that your time is limited and that most of the things you worry about don't matter. It strips away the trivialities of the ego and leaves only what is essential. If you knew you were going to die tomorrow, how would you treat the people around you? What would you do today? Singer suggests that we should live every moment with that level of awareness. Contemplating death doesn't make life morbid. It makes it precious. It forces you to let go of your baggage because you can't take it with you. Death is the final letting go that gives life its ultimate meaning. Singer introduces the Taoist concept of the middle way. He explains that life is a balance of opposing forces, and suffering occurs when we get pulled to the extremes. We spend our lives oscillating between I want this and I don't want that. The middle way is the point of balance where you are neither pushing nor pulling. It is the still point of the witness. From this center, you can participate in the world without being lost in it. You enjoy things when they come and let them go when they leave. This balance is not a state of boredom. It is a state of deep harmony and efficiency. You are no longer wasting energy on the pendulum swing of the ego. Living in the middle allows you to experience the fullness of life without the exhaustion of attachment. It is the path of effortless action and profound tranquility. In the final chapter, Singer speaks about the ultimate source of all awareness, which he refers to as the loving eye of God, or universal consciousness. He explains that as you let go of your personal ego, you become aware of a presence that is infinitely loving and compassionate. This presence has always been with you, watching over you with unconditional love. It is the source of all life and all beauty. Spiritual growth is the journey from the limited self to this universal self. You realize that you were never separate from this love. You were only blocking it with your thoughts and fears. The untethered soul is the one that has finally released all barriers and returned to its source. The book ends on a deeply mystical and encouraging note, reminding us that our true nature is divine. Your only job is to get out of the way and let the light of consciousness shine through you.